Now, in 2009, under the name Van Randall, you wrote, directed, and produced a stage play, Family Ties, a Van Randall drama,
Yes.
which was performed in the GM Theater
Yes.
at the Charles Wright Museum.
That's correct.
So tell me about that. What was your inspiration for it?
Family Ties was written, a lot of my writing comes from like real life experiences.
Okay.
So Family Ties was no different. I pulled from my real life experiences, but also experiences from people all around me. Yeah, just the fact that there's so many dark secrets in people's families, and people do everything they can to sort of cover up those dark secrets. Like that's the taboo thing, is to talk about, what's going on behind closed doors.
So was all of your production true? Was it non-fictional, or was it a docudrama, part true, part fiction?
It was probably part true, part fiction. A lot of it starts off as pulling from truth, but in order to make it entertaining, you got to go fiction. You got to kind of hyperbolize some things and make things a little bit more dramatic in order to give it that cinematic or stage feel.
Right. If you'd like to join in the conversation with the Van Randall, the number is 313-778-7600. Again, it's 313-778-7600. We're talking about what it's like to be an author, a nerd, a hip-hop artist, a writer, a playwright. I mean, you've done so many things.
Yeah.
What really is your passion?
My main passion is writing.
And what about writing excites you?
Being able to create worlds that don't exist unless I make them exist. Being able to paint pictures, create characters out of nothing, out of thin air, and then all of a sudden these people exist, and other people are invested in these characters. They connect with these characters, or they fall in love with these characters. I think that's a powerful thing.
So what genre do you typically write in?
Because of how my brain works, I usually work in like science fiction or fantasy. Because I like that sort of like weird paranormal stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now that's a big jump from writing a family drama.
Well, the Family Ties wasn't wholesome. I mean, there was a lot of darkness in Family Ties.
Like
A lot of like closeted, like skeleton type stuff that people hide, from the world. But so it's not too far of a stretch to go like fantasy, to be talking about vampires or werewolves. No, it's fine. Vampires or werewolves and all that kind of stuff,
Okay.
So it's not too much of a stretch.
So we got to go back to that the drama. I want to hear a little bit more about that. Give me a scene or something that happened.
Yeah, so Family Ties deals with a lot of like there's incest, because that's a very taboo subject. One of the things that you deal with, like we're dealing with the Me Too movement right now, which back when I wrote Family Ties, we really weren't. But what you find out with a lot of the Me Too movement, a lot of talking to a lot of females, is that there's a very high number of females that deal with sexual abuse.
And I am so surprised at that.
Yeah.
I growing up, I didn't hear about those things. My friends never talked about such things. And today it's so common.
It's very common. And it's crazy how many women have dealt with it. And so the even more surprising thing is that they've dealt with it in their own homes. Usually, we think of a rapist, and we think of someone who's like this ominous, dark character that waits for you in the alley. But the reality of it is that most women are experiencing it right at home with family members, people they know, close friends, people that they know from school. We just dealt with the situation with Kavanaugh and the story that was told about him. But so it's like people that are usually the ones that are doing the darkest things to you.
And that's the scary thing. There's a friend of mine who just told me about someone or her neighbors where there's a little girl. She's always looking out the window, and come to find out, her brother is messing with her, and she thinks it's normal. She thinks her brother is her husband.
Yeah.
And she's probably 6 or so, and she says, "Oh well, my husband, he's my brother, but he's my husband, and he touches me," and they hear her screaming, and
wow,
I can't believe that. That's so hard to believe.
Yeah.
So okay,
So
so
I address those difficult subjects in family ties.
All right, thank you, Fernando. Give me one moment.
and that's what's necessary. People
Remember,
need to
when
know.
we get on air,
Absolutely.
please turn your
Until
radio
it's brought into the light, people will
Absolutely.
never
All right,
heal.
thanks,
People
Randall.
will never get discovered who
That's
are
right.
going through those things because they don't talk about
That's
it.
right. That's right.
So you just released not too long ago a book that's science fiction, which is now your passion.
Yes. Yes.
Tell me about the inspiration for that book.
So that book was really, I have a passion for studying history and learning about history. And what I found in my studies about history is that a lot of what we think we know about history is very false. Institutions, collegiate institutions, universities, what we study is not the truth in a lot of instances. So what I've done with my book is I've sort of taken a lot of the historical truths and added a fantastical or science fiction twist to it. And my inspiration came from just my sort of obsession with ancient Egyptian history and really looking at the gods of ancient Egypt and trying to figure out like what would have been their backstory, like what was Anubis or what was Ra or Horus, who were these characters and where did they come from? If they weren't just statues in our museums, what were they and who were they, where would they have come from? And that sort of stimulated the sort of thought process that led to me writing Therians.
I can't wait to read it. Well, we have a caller on the line, Fernando. Hello, Fernando.
Yes, how are you doing this evening?
Great, how are you?
Great. You seem to have a wonderful program going today.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask, Mr. Bryan, has he ever thought about a workshop with children? And then I wanted to get his insights on whether or not being left brain, right brain has anything to do with creative writing.
So you said you wanted to know if he is interested or has a workshop for children.
Yes.
Yes, have you ever thought about a workshop for children or to help some young people get involved in writing or begin to understand that they have the potential to be good writers?
Absolutely. I would love to do a workshop. One of the things that I'm actually getting ready to do is tour the country. I have a screening coming up in Memphis, and then also have a screening coming up in Cleveland, Ohio. We've reached out and we've tried to bring in institutions, colleges, high schools, museums, libraries to basically get in front of people, and especially young people, to talk to them about the process, because one of the biggest things is understanding the process, and once you understand the process, realizing that it's not that hard to do. I learned a lot with putting out my graphic novel, and I would love to share that knowledge with younger people so that it's not as big of a mountain or an obstacle for them to climb as much as in the manner in which I had to climb it. So yes, that is a thought, that is in the plans. And the follow-up to that was whether or not writing was the right brain, left brain. Was that your question?
Yes, sir.
That's interesting. I think that, I think that you have to have a certain type of thought process to be a writer. I don't know about whether it's left brain or right brain. To be honest, I haven't done any research into that, but I do know that when I think of a story, it comes to me in a certain manner. So I almost have to go into a meditative state to actually write my story. And when I actually finally sit down in front of my computer or my laptop to actually write the story is already written. I've written it as I'm riding in my car. I've written it as I've taken a shower. I've written it as I listen to music. Music inspires my story ideas very greatly. So when I finally sit down to actually put pen to paper, the story is completed. I'm just finalizing the process. That's all.
That is wonderful. That's truly wonderful. And last question, if the monies were to manifest themselves, would you be interested in possibly doing something as a movie about Egypt, or how people of that culture utilize their talents?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. That's the ultimate goal. Therian started off as an idea for a film, believe it or not. I'm actually new to the graphic novel genre. I'm more of a screenplay and a stage play writer. Graphic novels, what it did was it allowed me to actually be able to paint the picture for people using ink and pencil as opposed to using light, because film is writing with light. So what I chose graphic novels because you're pretty much following the same steps or processes. You're writing a script, and then you're storyboarding it out, and then you're finalizing that storyboard with color and ink and those sorts of things. So absolutely, my goal and my vision for Therians is to one day see it on the screen, which is why we did the motion comic, which I aired at the Maple Theater on October 8th. We're going to have another showing at the Bowl Theater on November 3rd. And then again, we're going to have some screenings in Memphis and Cleveland and a bunch of other cities across America. But we want to get to the screen with Therians. We feel like it needs to be something that is seen. It needs to be something that people see visually. This story, this ancient story, and I'm talking about even back beyond what we call slavery in America, that story needs to be told.
Yes, indeed. Well, I wish you much great success. I think that there's some great things in store for you. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate it.
Fernando,
Thank you.
before you go, make sure you take down Van's information so that you can get a copy of his book.
Yes.
And also follow him on YouTube and on his social media so that you can stay in contact. Why don't you give out your information?
Please, yes. My YouTube is the Ghetto Nerd. You'll know it because it's a little symbol with a bald head man with glasses. And on Instagram, I'm at the Ghetto Nerd, THE Ghetto Nerd. And then on Twitter and on Facebook, I'm the Ghetto Nerd as well. And on Twitter, I'm the Ghetto_Nerd. So you can find me on all those, or you can search B as in Bravo, period, Van Randall, and you can find me as well. Well, please connect and let's talk.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling. If you'd like to join the conversation and comment or ask a question to Van, the number is 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600. If you'd like to join the conversation and talk to B. Van Randall, the number is 313-778-7600. We are talking about his life as a hip hop artist, a writer. He's an author. And if you'd like to learn about any of these things, how to do these things, you can ask those questions as well. Not just questions about his projects, but questions about how you can make something like that happen. So keep the number 313-778-7600, and we'll be right back after this.